Hi, I'm your mom! You'll probably notice the sound is not great in this video. I won't tell you everything about it, but my H2 broke. Anyway, I'm trying to find a way around it. I hope it's at least moderately better until I can get something fixed up, but that's what's going on, so, you know, somebody's gonna be like, what happened to the sound? Yeah, I know. My special recorder is not working, and I'm not sure how to fix it. So, last week I did a video on the levels of stress and how they can lead to more severe issues. That was part 1 of my stress series, and I'll put the link in the description, so if you missed it, you can then go back and watch it, and then watch this one, because there are certain things that I mentioned in that will help you make sense of some things down the road in this video. Today is part 2, that's coping mechanisms and why dark humor is good for you. So a cannibal goes to a funeral, and one of the bereaved says, "Old Uncle Tom's getting buried in a $600 suit." And the cannibal says, "Oh good, they didn't skimp on the dressing." You laughed. So there are 3 levels of models of defense and I will be referencing George Valent's hierarchical models of defense. So he's got his levels are immature, neurotic, and mature. Immature is when a person is becoming deliberately difficult, and they go out of their way to they cause problems that don't need to be there just because they're in a bad mood. Basically like a toddler throwing a tantrum, or an adult throwing a tantrum. Passive aggressiveness would also fall under this category because it is another way to deliberately make somebody's situation a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. They project their own issues onto others. Think of that person in your life. Everybody's met one of them. And if you haven't, I'm sorry, but you will. Someday you will meet at least one of these people. They claim that they hate drama, but they cause so much drama. It's like they're a magnet to it, and they just... oh my god, are they frustrating. Neurotic is the second option. Basically, that's intellectualization, so that's when people overanalyze things. You know, you're stressed, so then you become stressed because you're stressed, and then you become stressed because you're stressed because you're stressed, and then you just keep going down this hole. So I'm in a bad mood, somebody said something mean to me, and then you jump to everyone's always saying mean things to me, and then you remember that time in 3rd grade or 4th grade when somebody said something mean to you as evidence that people are always, and you just keep building on it. Also repression, so if you're not okay and somebody that you trust, even the people in your life that you could potentially talk to, you still tell them that you're fine even when you're not. Just as a side note, but important to mention, if you're not okay, it's okay to say you're not okay, just as long as you say it to the right people. The wrong people tend to make it worse. There are actually free hotlines around that, just Google it. For your area, there are resources being created more and more all the time. So if you've got nobody in your personal life to talk to, it is okay to say you're not fine. There are people out there willing to listen. Next level is mature, so that's channeling. So that's when people take their negative emotions and they create music or art or poetry. Picasso's Blue Period is a perfect example of this, if you're an art nerd, like I am. And that's super healthy because it takes the negative inside and it transforms it into something positive, which then gets to my favorite, humor. This is one that is kind of contentious these days. People believe that if you laugh, if you're able to find something funny in something bad, that makes you a bad person. And that is just fundamentally not the case at all. Psychologically, it is a healthy way to deal with it. So I will address this especially because it is so debated. People channel, the same way that you channel something negative into an art form or something, is making a joke of it takes that negativity and it transforms it into something positive that is less harmful to you than dwelling in it. And as much as people claim that, you know, morally you should dwell in it or you're a bad person, it's actually better for you and better for the people around you if you then channel it into humor. This is where I can get to the last video where I explained that the neural pathways and how two neural pathways will connect when you have a negative emotion, and then they are continuously reinforced the more you focus on that emotion, or the more negative is piled onto it, the stronger that connection becomes and how it can create long-term effects. Basically, what channeling in humor does is it helps to weaken that connection. It also creates a better connection somewhere else that is actually more positive. So instead of using all your energy and creating, long-term health issues like heart disease and anxiety disorders, you can actually channel it into something positive, which then brings more joy to people, brings more joy to you. It'll lengthen your life. Scientifically speaking, dark, terrible jokes are good for you. I mean, don't be absolutely horribly offensive, like unnecessarily so, but if you just find a joke in something terrible, that's not a bad thing. That's it for me this week. Next week I will be talking about even more recent developments in coping models, like finding solutions to a problem versus letting the emotions take over. And I'm thinking these videos might just always come out on Sundays, because events don't seem to want to let me release them sooner. I've been your mom, and I hope you are having a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye!